Hi there! If you've already got solid experience in one programming language, you can pick up your next language in a snap. This is because we use the same algorithms in every language, and programming is primarily stringing a bunch of algorithms together. To illustrate my point, let's design a small to-do app and code it in Python, Java, and C Sharp. Okay, so I've already set up VS Code with the three files. All of them are blank, and let's use the Python file to plan out what we need. So we need to be able to add a task. We need to be able to delete or complete task. Those can be the same thing for now. And we need to be able to see our tasks. And we also are going to need some error handling for invalid input. So, like, trying to delete a non-existent task. Although we could just do nothing in that case, I prefer to have some error handling personally. Okay, so how do we do each of these? So first, to add a task, we need to ask for user input and then update some task list. And that's really it. For deleting, we also need to ask for user input and update task list. For view tasks, we just need to output the task list. And then let's worry about error handling a little bit later. Let's go ahead and... So we can see that all three of these features require a task list. So let's go ahead and create that up here at the top. We're just going to say tasks equals empty array. So that's it. That's a tasks list in Python. Now, to ask for user input in Python, let's call this variable new task. And let's have as input, what is your first task? And then we can do tasks.append new task. So let's go ahead and test that part so far. Okay. Python, what is your first task? And this is actually going to close out the program, because in Python I'm writing this as a script. So what is your first task? Let's say code to do in Python. And then the program shut down. So what we actually want really is we want to have a display of list of options to add, delete, view. And this is probably going to be running in a loop. So let's say choice equals input. What would you like to do? Let's see. We'll just go ahead and print some options. 1, add a task. 2, complete or delete a task. And then 3... Actually, I feel like view probably should be number 1. And then 2 will be add a task. And then print 4, which is just quit. And actually, we probably want all of this to be inside of a function. So, def display options. And then actually, this part we probably don't want inside of the function. So we're going to call display options right away. And then we're going to say while choice does not equal 4. If choice equals 1, then we want to view task list. So let's create that method next. And that's just going to be print tasks. But we might want it a little bit more complex than that, right? We probably want to list a number next to each task. But let's see this work right now. So if choice equals 1, then we want to call view tasks. Else if choice equals 2, then we want to call add task, which doesn't exist yet. I'm going to change that to just say, what is your task? And while we're at it, let's go ahead and say if choice equals 3, delete task. Now, it looks like the error handling for invalid input is basically a thing that could go inside of this while loop. But we're not going to put that down. We're not going to make that exist just yet. Delete task. So first we have to ask for user input. Choice. We can't call it choice because choice is down here. Or at least I don't think I should call it choice. I'm going to say task ID. And I'm going to say input is the ID of the task you wish to let's just say being taken off the list. And then let's say the ID is a number. And what we're going to do is we are going to say tasks dot remove int task ID -1. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because we're going to list these starting with 1, but this is actually going to be 0 indexed. So let's update our view tasks to output the list properly. So for task in tasks, or let's say for I in range 1 tasks dot length of tasks +1. Actually, let's just say length of tasks. We're going to print with formatting I +1 tasks at index I. Okay, so now let's see how this goes. So we do 1. It does not show anything, so we don't have a way of asking this again. So let's go ahead and put that down there inside the loop as well. So let's say view our list. That didn't appear to do anything because we don't have any tasks on our list. What is your task? And I'm going to say add error handling. And then I'm going to add a second task. And I'm going to put eat lunch. And then I'm going to view the list again. So as you can see, it just kind of did that, and then it lists the options again. So I'm going to add an improvement here where I just print a blank line. Just so there's a little bit of separation there. So let's say I am going to remove eating lunch from the list. And now it is saying X not in list. Okay, so that is because tasks.remove works on value and not index. So let's try making it the value. Viewing the list. No, there's nothing on the list anymore. So we do have to add a task. Let's say add error handling again. And let's say eat lunch again. Now, view the list. There's only add error handling. Okay, that is because I typed eat lunch without having typed add a task. So let's do that again. Now when we view the list, there are 2 items on it. What would you like to do? Complete or delete a task? What is the ID of the task being taken off the list? 2. And it did not say anything. It didn't error out. So let's go ahead and view the list again. And only the first item is on it. So we have a functional, if not great, list. A functional, if not great, to-do app here in Python. Now, if we wanted to do this in Java, we could use the exact same algorithms. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and see if the quote feature works. It does. Cool. Okay, so if we come in here and we say class, to-do app, public static void main. Okay, so we probably can't just copy this code straight into Java. There are some languages like Java and Kotlin. If you copy Java code into Kotlin, it will automatically, or into a Kotlin file, I mean, it will automatically make it Kotlin. But Python to Java, I kind of doubt that's supported. Let's see. Yeah, it did not do any sort of automatic code conversion or anything. But we know what we want, right? We want to be able to display this list of options. So let's do a private static void display options. Does not need parameters. And we're just going to say system.out.println 1. Actually, I'm going to copy these 4 lines right here. I'm going to put them there. I'm going to take all of this. And then I'm going to add semicolons because this is Java. Okay, so that's our display options. Now we need to be able to do this choice. So in this case, we want to do a string choice, which is equal to system.in dot to string. And because this is Java, we do have to do things a little bit differently. So we do this print out and as a separate statement instead of as part of the system.in. I guess we no longer need that trailing space. So first we're going to call display options. There we go. And then we want a loop like this, right? Now, there's probably a better way of doing this so that we have a little bit less duplicate code, but um, let's just go on with our code conversion. So now we want to say while choice dot equals 4, but not. So now while not choice equals 4, and let's do the if else if in Java as well, just so that we're using the exact same algorithms. So now we can say if choice dot equals 1, then we want to view tasks, which isn't a method that exists yet. Else if choice dot equals 2, add task. Else if choice dot equals 3. Now, we didn't actually end up adding error handling, so we're going to skip it again here. But obviously we could, and it would be the same algorithm is my point. So then we want to call delete task. In that case, and then we want to do our display options and requesting the user to give us another choice. Selection. Okay, so it is prompting us to convert it to a switch because this is Java. But that is fine. We're going to ignore that. Okay, so now let's go through and add. First, we need to have our private string array. No, it needs to be a list because this is Java. And I'm just going to call it tasks. And it is going to equal new array list. And it did import Java util array list for us, but I'm going to switch that to a star. Okay, so now we have our tasks. So we can say private static void. What did we call it? List view tasks. And then we want it to function exactly like the Python version, which is just outputting the task list with an appropriate index. So for I equals 0, I less than tasks. No, not task listener. Tasks.size, I++. Okay, so that one cannot be static. And I have to declare this to be an integer. I've been coding in Python a bit, and it shows. So then we just want to do a system.out.println, and we want it to be I+1. We actually want that to be a string. string dot value of plus dot space plus tasks dot get I. So obviously the formatting is different. It looks a little bit different. Then we print out a blank line. But it is the exact same algorithm. It is the exact same functionality. Okay, we are having some problem where things are like, oh, it's not static, but it is static, but it's not. That's fine. Let's go ahead and add our other two methods. Private void add task. Going back to our Python file. All we have to do is, so first we output what is your task. And then task equals SN. No. System.in.toString. And of course I have to declare that as a string because it is Java. And then I can just say tasks.add task. And it did autocomplete that for me, and then I ruined it by typing. Delete task. We want to say what is the idea of the task being taken off the list, which is a pretty complicated wording. We could make that a bit less weird. String ID equals system.in.toString. And then tasks dot, in this case, we can do make it an integer. Can I just... Okay. I forgot how casting to an int works in Java. There we go. I think that's right. That seems to be fine. And let's add an extra empty line after that as well. Okay, so then when we uncomment this, we should be able to see, kind of have these two side by side. It does all the same things as our Python version, just written in Java instead. And I added a little bit of nicer formatting just because. So go ahead and run this. Okay, so it is obviously not stopping for user input, so that's bad. Okay, so I think this is an input stream. Here we go, I think. I think we need a read all bytes dot toString. So I think we were just missing this call. Let's find out how right I am. Unhandled exception type, blah, blah, blah. There used to be a button. And we're just going to throw that exception. That's fine. We might not be able to do it quite that simply. This might not work. But let's find out. Okay, so we are running. Let's view our task list. That does nothing, apparently. Okay. So, I'm just gonna go over here and I am going to Google Java read user input. Ah, right, that's how you do it. You import the scanner class. And you just scan system.en. So, since we are importing java.util.star, we don't need to separately import the scanner task. The side-by-side view is annoying me. We can go back to the Java version. We can just say scanner equals new scanner system.in. And here we can just say scanner dot next line. And replace it down here as well. Okay. And then after the while loop, we'll call scanner.close to make the thing happy. Fewer warnings, if possible. It is still whiny. It says convert to try with resources. That's just another way of doing it. Okay. So, add a task. What would you like to do? Okay, so the scanner should, in fact, not be only inside the main method. We're going to want to bring that all the way up here. Because instead of this, we have to say scanner.nextLine. Otherwise, it does nothing. Yeah, so Java, obviously a little bit more complex than Python in a lot of ways. Let's see. Right, to-do app. It was added to the list. Let's add eat lunch again. I might be a little bit hungry. It is on the list. What's the idea of the task being taken off the list? Let's say 2. Index 2 out of bounds for a length 2. So, we did something wrong here in our delete task. We wanted to say -1 here. So if I had been looking closer when we were comparing to the Python, that would have been clear. Oh, well. And importantly here, this to-do app is not very good because every time you close the app, it erases your list. But that isn't the point right now. That is something that we can enhance. The point here is these are the same algorithms in every language. So if we go ahead and add code to-do app, and then we add again, eat lunch, and then we view the list, and it has 2 items, and then we say, let's delete number 2. It did not error, and it correctly did what we wanted. Okay, so again, obviously there's lots of improvement that we could make here, but this is the basic functionality that we want. And now we can go ahead and start with C#, I think. So I am curious. Java and C# are pretty similar, so I would expect there being some possibility of, like, automatically having the code convert somehow. I just pasted in literally the exact same code, and it is acting as if that's fine, even though this is a C# file. Let's see what happens when I try to run this. It looks like I can't actually run this class. So, C#, hello world. Okay, so a couple of different conventions in C#. Let's see about converting this. I'm going to call this to-do app C so that it differentiates very clearly. And I am going to make these all start with capital letters to follow C# conventions. There we go. And then this should all be system.console.writeline everywhere we have system.out.println. Oh, right. Delete these imports. That's just confusing. We don't want Java imports in our C#. Is it system.console.writeline? Is that okay? Okay, it may have been better to not try to just copy and paste all of this. But again, C# and Java are so similarly formatted that it seems like I should be able to. Let's see what happens when we do all of this. Okay, so now C# accept user input. Okay, so there is a console.read line. Now, I'm willing to bet that this is also wrong, but let's see. There we go. And then C# list. Okay, pretty similar, honestly. I'm copying these two using, so that is, I believe, the C# version of imports. So I'm still thinking that maybe because I copied and pasted Java, this is not, like, clear what is happening. But, let's see. It's starting to look a bit more like C#. And I'm not completely certain how to go ahead and run a C# class, so let's Google that as well. C# run file. There's supposed to be some sort of run option. Ah, here's a button. There is no project associated with the file, and that might be why it's not acting like something that we can go ahead and run. Console application template. Okay. So this is saying that we have to create a whole new thing in VS Code, and that seems annoying and unnecessary. Blah, blah, blah. So we might be able to just do .NET run. I have a feeling this will not work. Okay. There is no actual project. So what if we run .NET build? Okay. So it looks like maybe we are going to have to create a new project. Let's see. .NET, no matching results. Cool, 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 cool. We might be missing namespace. That could be the issue. Let's try this. And I am going to name it To-Do App. Okay. It has all of this noise. I'm going to see if I can just do copy and paste, because I'm ridiculous. Okay. Now let's try .NET build. To be honest, last time I coded in C#, we did not have... I was not using .NET. I was able to just do C#. Okay, so now we have all kinds of problems, because again, probably because I copied this from Java. So build failed, expected, semicolon. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And then let's see. Okay, so probably would have been easier if I had just, like, done this from scratch in the first place. No, I want the class, I think. Okay, so let's... Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do the thing again. No, I don't want it inside this folder. There, I'm just gonna throw that over there for now. And then I am going to come into our program.cs, and I am going to delete all of this. And main. So you can see it didn't. It's not quite as good at autofilling C#, which is weird because C# is a Microsoft product and so is VS Code. But let's copy these using statements back. Okay, I like that it's saying 0 references so far. And we want to create our display options method first. So that's going to be a private void display options. That it popped up because I have it in that other file, I think. And this is just going to be console dot write line. It popped up that time. That's a good sign. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste all of this. The copying and pasting might be a thing I'm overdoing. Okay. So let's see if we can just do this. Like, just have it run with that. Program does not contain a static main method. Okay. Try this again. Maybe this can be static as well. Okay, so for the first time, it actually ran. We just do .NET run. Okay, so slowly but surely getting there. I'm gonna copy this. I'm just gonna close the Java one. And then just string choice equals console.readline. And I want a while loop. Again, lots of copying and pasting, maybe too much, but I just want it to be super clear that, like, it's all the same logic. It's very similar code, even across languages, because it's all the same logic and everything. Okay, so this we make into display options. We can delete the system dot. And then I think we can go ahead and start writing these other methods. Or at least copying them over and pasting them and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and copy these 3 methods straight over. And then I'm going to go back to having this being deleted. Okay. Now this tasks doesn't exist, and it isn't telling us that, which is somewhat intriguing. I'm going to delete all these system dots. Okay. And now when we run .NET Build, it'll probably whine a lot. Yeah. An object reference is required for the non-static. Ah. So... list of string tasks equals new list string. I'm not sure whether the parentheses are needed or not. I think they are. Okay, still... This string does not contain a definition for add. Fair enough. Looking to see... So, it's looking like there's not a getter. I wonder if I can do this. In C#. So let's see. Okay, 5 warnings, 7 errors. We're reducing the number of errors. String does not contain a definition for value of. Fair enough. Let's see if I can cast to a string. Same deal. Okay, so it looks like remove is a thing. Let's see what that does. Okay. Cannot convert type int to string. Cannot convert type string to int. Oh. Okay. C sharp. C size of list. Okay, there's a dot count. Apparently. And then C sharp convert string to int. Okay, so there's an int32 try parse. Let's see. Not doing that. Where does this int32 come from? Okay. This says I should be able to just do that. Okay, and then there should be a toString method on the integer? Okay. Now down to 4 warnings, or 4 errors. There's a bunch of stuff about converting null literals to non-null types that I'm not certain. Okay, so still cannot convert from int to string somewhere. Um, line 25. Ah, I see what's going on. Got to do it this way in C Sharp like we did in Python. Okay, now we just have to deal with all these object references required for the non-static field method or property. And these have to be non-static, I think, because I don't think this can be static. But let's try making all of it static and seeing. Obviously, if you're just coming from Python and you see, then, like, you don't know this yet, maybe. But, again, that's just... what am I trying to say? That's just syntax, and syntax is always Googleable. And as you saw already, I've Googled a lot of things. So, okay, 0 errors. Lots and lots of warnings, but the build succeeded, so we're going to run with it. So first, view the list. There's nothing. Add a task. And let's go ahead and add another task. And then view the list again. We can see the 2 items. Remove number 2. Look at the list, and it did work exactly the way we want it to. So, yeah. Clicking that. So, obviously, for this, I had some trouble with C# because I haven't used it in a very long time. And it's changed a lot. But so far as the actual code, it's still very similar to Java. And it's all the same algorithms in all 3 languages. So, hopefully, that all makes sense. I do want to point out that there are some exceptions to how quickly you can transfer between languages, or how quickly you can, like, translate between languages. For instance, React. React is a completely different type of language, so it can be very difficult when you know all these backend languages to start learning that. And of course, there are differences in languages beyond just syntax. Obviously, looking between Python and C#, um, C# and Java both are a lot more similar to each other than either is to Python. And there's differences in how they function. So, for instance, the only limit to how big an integer can be in Python is the amount of memory you have in your computer. Whereas with Java, and I believe with C# as well, there are strict limits to how big an integer can be. So, yeah. But for the most part, if you have learned a programming language and you know it really, really well, it is very easy to sit down and go, okay, I can see this code, and it's not in a language I know, but it looks familiar. And at that point, all you have to do to learn a new language is to create a few simple programs to help you pick up the syntax. That's it for this one. If you would like to see more, leave me a like and or subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next.